30 finished ads while I made coffee. This is a full month of paid ads, 30 of them. 5 sales angles, captions done, quality checked, and I didn't build a single one. Claude built this entire campaign end to end while I made a coffee. And the model that makes this kind of thing feel normal, Fable 5, is back. So in this video, I want to go through the 4 things that I do the second you start using it, shown on the actual systems running inside of my business right now. Loops, skills, vision, and the context layer underneath it all. And 2 of those systems are open source in the description for free, so stick around to get those at the end. So quick one, just so you know that this isn't theory. My name is Owen Wells, and I build AI tools and automations for businesses as a part of my business. Everything I'm showing you in this video is running inside of my business right now, and I built myself. And 2 honest caveats before the list. Usage limits on Fable are tight, so you will have less of it than you want. And if you burn it on the wrong work, you'll be out of tokens before lunch. But that's fine, because the entire trick with the top model is knowing which work it actually deserves. So if we look at this bar, every job you give AI splits into 3 parts. The plan. What exactly are we making? What are the rules? What does good mean? The grind, actually producing the 30 ads, the 200 lines of code, the 12 emails, and the judgment, checking what came back, accepting, rejecting, deciding what to fix. And here's the thing that nobody tells you. The middle is 80% of the tokens, and it's the easiest part. Any decent model can grind against a clear spec, but what cheaper models can't do is write the spec, and they can't be trusted to mark their own homework. So Fable plans, a cheaper model does the grind, and then Fable does the final judgment, the 2 ends of the job, not the middle. So a real example from my own stack is my ad system. The expensive model wrote the prompt template and the judging rules once, and they're frozen files now. So a cheaper model runs the actual campaigns against those files, and the judging is literally a rubric applied line by line. Like last time I ran it cold on a cheaper model, 5 out of 5 ads accepted, 0 hand holding, and that's the rules working. So all the real hard work, the intelligence, where the tokens went, was in the 2 ends of the problem, and now everything else just kind of gets reused forever. So the first thing that we need to master with the new level AI is loops. Now just hold on to me here, because a loop is not necessarily running the same prompt again. It's 5 stages. It finds the work, it does the work, it checks the work, and then this is the stage that was broken up until kind of this point in history. And with that, you'll get a verdict, either pass or fail. There's nothing in between. And then it will record what happened, so that gets logged, and the log matters, and you'll see why in the skill section. Then it will decide what happens next. Not me, the operator, asking, okay, what do we do next? And then just repeating the whole process again. And the reason that loops are suddenly the way to use Claude, other models were terrible at checking their own work. You know, they'd mark everything with a pass and drift. And if you yourself have been working on any sort of automated systems in the past, especially when it comes to content, whether it's advertising, motion graphics, anything, the results were usually shit, and somehow it still handed that over to you. Fable is actually able to catch its own failures and fix those mistakes before you even see the result. Ultimately, it removes bot sitting from the equation. A real example of this, if we look inside of my mission control over here, in the competitor research, competitor radar part that I've built for myself, every single day at the same time, it goes and scans via the Google API other YouTubers within my niche to see the videos that they're creating, how many views, YouTube, bold claim, screen recording, AI tool stacking, why it works, the pattern to adapt, and it's giving me fresh ideas. So with loops, you could set up any sort of daily research task, whether it's, you know, researching for your content, for your business, or it could be creating new scripts for your videos for that day if you don't batch shoot, if you shoot daily. Pretty much any sort of repetitive task where you need something created on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you can just turn that into a loop. So another loop that I have running for myself is that daily AI news coming in from newsletters and some other sources are then fed into my content engine to give me content to create. It will create scripts from it, LinkedIn posts, X, blog, newsletter, whatever I need based off of that data. And it also tells me what I should talk about, what's going to get attention, What is actually, what's a new major development within the space that people want to hear about? How can I give value with that? Now, one warning, loops can be a token furnace. You do want to make sure that it has some sort of limits on it. And that can be done whether it has a max pass, so a limit, a spending cap, even a stop loss. If too much is failing, it should just stop and tell me. And also the models that are being used within the loop. Make sure you're using the appropriate models for the appropriate tasks. There's no need to use Fable to create a PDF for you. That's what Claude Sonnet is actually best at. It's best at any sort of writing task. So even when it comes to scripting the content, I have Sonnet do the writing because ultimately it feels the most natural, and I'm not spending hundreds of thousands of tokens, even millions, just to create a single script. So when you're setting up a loop, make sure you consider these limitations and any sort of failure stopping mechanisms to make sure that you don't accidentally rinse your pockets. Right, number 2, skills. Because a loop on its own does not have taste. It will happily do the wrong thing forever because that is what you have told it to do. And it will do it very efficiently at that. A skill is where the taste lives. So if we take a look at my own skills here that I've created inside of the mission control, and you can see down here on the screen, now this is like the skill MD file, but it mentions these other files that are stored within the folder. These are the references, so it knows what is good. Previous examples. Real outputs that have already passed, so the model is just remixing what already works. And with that, access to the fancy models then becomes optional. And then the compounding loop. So this is the part that a lot of people aren't actually doing. It feeds back into the skill and then updates the rubric. And any failures will also be added to a never do list. Ultimately, it results in the skill getting sharper every time you run it and give it feedback. How do you start with skills? Well, find one thing that you've already done well with Claude, whether it was scripting for content, maybe one run you did motion graphics really well. Whatever it is, find that and then turn it into a skill and actively do this as you're working. That way you will never have to do the same thing twice. You're essentially freezing a good result and then making it repeatable, of course. So 2 of my skills are going to be in the description for free. That's the ad skill and the motion graphics skill. Go ahead and grab those to save yourself the time of building them out manually, because let me tell you, that motion graphics skill took me a long time to get good. But in exchange for taking my hard work, I do ask that you give me a subscribe and a like, just help out the channel. Share this video if you found there was some useful information. Send it to a friend who needs to hear this, whatever it is. 3rd thing, use its eyes. Fable is the best by far at visual analysis of its own work. The entire reason that my ad system is shipping without me Q&Aing every fucking image that is in the middle box, the model is actually looking at every single image that it's making, not the metadata. And it marks each one against these 7. Is every word spelled exactly right? Does the concept land in under a second? Can you tell who it's for? Is there any AI tells? Is it on brand? Would you stop scrolling? Is the craft real? 0 fails and it ships. Otherwise, reject, regenerate, and look again. One example in here that I really like is this ad right here. As you can see, the balloons, it looks disappointing. It's a deflated balloon. Most AI you've sold has been a demo. To me, this seems like something that could be instantly relatable. Maybe you've been sold some sort of AI system, AI software, and ultimately it wasn't that helpful. It was just a gimmick. And the balloons here represent that disappointment. So it's a visual tell of an emotion. Last and probably the most important part of this is its memory, the context that Claude Code has when you're working on your own projects. And this right here is my Obsidian brain. Now, it's not that large, but I have realized how insanely powerful this is. It enabled me to build things almost like 10 times faster because I don't have to re-explain myself again and again. It just knows. Every decision I made, why I made that decision, what we've already built, what existing frameworks that we have already built can we take and then integrate into this new project that we're working on. So having a blank Claude, it's a stranger, and a smart stranger is still a stranger. But also looking in here, I've got files describing my brand voice, all the code projects that I have. Now this here, Obsidian, this is just kind of the pretty view, But the real asset is what actually lies inside of all of these files here. All the decisions are already made, like I said, brand, context, literally everything. And it allows me to just repeat and repeat without having to explain all this stuff again and again. Once you start building a database like this, your strategy conversations stop being generic. Like if you ask a blank model about pricing, you're gonna get a blog post or something. You're not gonna get the same thing again and again. But when we want to talk strategy, we need real insights, real data, real ways to prove that the next steps we're going to take in this strategy are viable and they're going to be effective, and it all lives inside of here. Fable is the best strategic thinker that Anthropic has ever shipped. Give it the map. So what am I myself pointing Fable 5 at? Well, what I've been doing with Fable 5 is using it to revise on and improve everything I've already created, but more specifically, the skills, the frameworks, and any sort of systems. Building them in a way that has been architected by Fable 5, but executable by cheaper models. As I went into earlier, the two ends of it are the most important. The stuff in the middle is pretty repetitive. So if we can design that workflow with Fable 5 using Fable 5's amazing brain and have Opus execute on it, we're going to get the same results for literally a fraction of the cost. One major undertaking that I took on with Fable 5 there recently was having it go through my entire code base and rewrite everything, fix it, simplify it, make it better, just any sort of fixes all around. And also every skill that I built, again, re-architecting it by Fable 5. That way the cheaper models can execute on them, but the quality of it remains as high as Fable 5. The skills that I'm giving away, the links are going to be in the description. Make sure you subscribe, drop a like, go follow my Instagram if you enjoyed the video, and if there was any valuable information, make sure you share it to somebody else that it might be helpful to. And I appreciate the watch. See you in the next one.